Hi, I'm James from Siren Woodworking Creations. Cue the cheesy intro. Hi, welcome to the second video. Today we're going to be taking a look around the Siren workshop as it stands at the moment. I mentioned in the previous video that in the next few weeks I'm going to be replacing this workshop with a purpose-built facility, so we'll look forward to that. But for now we'll have a look around what's there at the moment and the tools that I'm using day to day. Kind of a bit of setup going on there. It's really cold outside, so let's get our thermals on and let's go have a look. Here we are outside the workshop. It's really windy, so I'm sorry about the noise. Let's get on it and have a look. First, I've got to activate the super security system. So here we are in the workshop in all its messy glory. I've had to shut the door to try and keep out the elements. It's really windy today. Not that that helps much, because as you'll notice, this is not the most mechanically sound building you will ever see. Check it out. One of the main issues that I'm facing in the workshop is lack of space, and as you can probably tell, this corner is absolutely jam-packed with junk. It's got kids' bikes, our bikes, garden tools, kids' scooters, everything. When the new workshop is built, there will be a dedicated shed put in the garden to house all of this junk, so I literally cannot wait for that. In this back corner of the workshop we've got the bandsaw, which is just a basic 10-inch bandsaw, entry level. It's got a nice cast iron table, which is pretty good for a saw of this level. Pretty good whip fence, dedicated stand, which is quite good. It's not a tool I use an awful lot at the moment, and that is mainly because of where it is in the workshop. Access to it is not great at the moment, and not great for the dust extraction either. It's just very hard to get to. In this corner, more junk, surprise surprise. Car tools, garden tools, and actually the windows for the new workshop. So yeah, more rubbish. Space for storing actual tools is another issue. I've just got the main two shelves in here which almost fallen down, so I just keep a few things out that I call upon all the time, just my glues, finishes, sandpaper, that kind of thing, a few hand tools, set square, which is obviously a much used tool. I've got my edge jointing jig up here, which I'll do another video on, separate video, and I keep my cauls, I guess you'd call them, for the sash clamps, which helps to prevent damage to the workpiece. Yeah, you can see I'm reluctant to create any dedicated storage, knowing that this is all getting destroyed in a few weeks. So there's no point spending money on creating shelving, things like that. So for now, this is what I've got to work with. This general area here is what I use for my miter saw station, if you like. Again, more storage. I've got this fixed to a bathroom cabinet, which was a spare. It was a damaged spare from my bathroom renovation, and that houses my hand power tools. so saw, jigsaw, circular saw, that kind of thing, and spares for those, so that's quite handy. Again, just terrible storage, can't do a lot about it yet. Paints, adhesives, that kind of thing. Nice little test cabinet that I made, just playing about with plywood and pine, and that just houses my adhesives. Nothing special, but that will get pride of place in the new workshop. Again, that'll get put on the wall, and still needs a finish. It's not actually finished yet, and it needs a catch for the door because it just swings back open, which is never good. Along here we've got my homemade router table, which is just simple plywood construction, box joints, but will probably have to be replaced for the new workshop because it's got wet from the leaks in the roof, which is very annoying. But that's part of being in a damp, leaky workshop. And again, just general tool storage. I've got my clamps all across here, which you can never have enough of, definitely. So I'll be adding to those as we go along. Frame and square, straight edge, and all my paints there, which probably half of them are empty, so I must sort those out. And yet again, we have more rubbish, which I really need to get rid of. Something I'll definitely miss in the new workshop is the storage above your head for the really long pieces of wood. I'm not going to have that in the new workshop because it's going to be a pitched roof, unless I can come up with some way of creating some brackets for that. Unfortunately, I'm going to lose that facility. So I'm thinking possibly of having either some just average racking on the wall, or I may make some pockets down the side of the walls for storing long pieces. I'm not quite decided yet. I'll probably decide as it happens. Down here is where I store my pallet wood as I'm breaking it down. I do try and keep the same pallets together if I can, because hopefully it pretty much increases the chances of those pieces being similar widths, because in the rustic pieces that I'm making, I don't really want to plane them back to new wood, so the closer they are to each other, the better really in terms of thickness. So I try and keep them all together if I can. Doesn't always work, but if I can. And up in this corner is yet more junk. Paint cans everywhere. Down in this corner is where I keep my hardwoods. It's very unorganised, very messy, but again, there's just nowhere else to put it at the moment. The pride of this pile is this lovely solid oak mantle, which came from the loft in my nan's house when we cleared that out. So I'd really like to reclaim this and make it into something good for myself. It's sentimental, so if you guys have got any suggestions for what to make out of this, then please do mention in the comments. I'd love to hear your ideas. And also, I've got many pieces of a lovely solid mahogany door that I reclaimed. So again, bags of potential there for remakes. And of course, the heart of many workshops is the table saw, and this workshop is no exception. I'm using a Ryobi ETS 1825. It's a pretty good table saw, nice and powerful. It's not especially accurate, unfortunately. It's certainly not cabinet grade. The fence never locks square, which is an issue, as you'll see on the build videos. This is the main tool that will be replaced when the new workshop is built. I will be buying a cast iron table saw. It'll be nice and accurate, nice and square. I'm looking forward to that. But just down below here is my workbench, which also doubles up as an outfeed table of sorts for catching pieces as they go across. And 99% of the time this is hooked up to the shop vac, so for dust extraction, which is pretty good to be fair. Another issue with this table saw is the riving knife doesn't allow non-through cuts such as dados. That is something that I would have modified had I been keeping this, but as it's going, there's not a lot of point to do that at the moment. If we have a quick look under the workbench, I've got my 1.5 horsepower Stanley compressor, which is mainly used with my Stanley nail gun, brad nail gun. But I also, it's quite handy for giving everything a blast with this at the end of the day, just to get the dust off everything, and then I can sweep it up, and that's a fast way of cleaning at the end of the shift. And also under here is my shop vac, which is just a cheap Titan shop vac, but it does a really good job. It's got great suction, and it's predominantly hooked up to the table saw, but it's portable, so it can be attached to anything that I'm using at the time, sanders, circular saw, what have you. So, really handy tool. Should be able to see tucked down there the shop vac, which is just a standard size shop vac connection going into the table saw. And all I've done there is just basically just use duct tape. You know, save money on adapter, line that with duct tape, cut a cross hole in there, and away you go. That's all you need. Okay. This is how I'm normally dressed when it's this cold. God. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the tour. Next week I'll go over some in-depth reviews of some of the tools, just to give you guys an idea of that, pros and cons, all that business. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and keep following on the journey. It's going to be a long one. Yeah, see ya. Thanks.
Lovely.